Were you ever in a fight with somebody who was bigger than you?
Well, no, but I avoided one time. I used to go when I was a teenager, 16, especially when I first got my driver's license, and even before, my parents would take me to this place in Long Beach called Fender's Ballroom to see punk rock shows. And one time, I think I was 16, 17, there was a band I wanted to see from Switzerland going to play at Fender's, and I drove down there with a group of friends like I did many weekends for years, and to see this band I liked, Celtic Frost. And while we were there, well, it was a time where, these clubs didn't really have professional security, and so they kind of would just pull security from some of the toughest guys in the crowd, or who looked tough, or were skinheads, or whatever. And there was a guy at this show who was huge. He was seriously like 6'6", big, and he seemed to be friends with all the makeshift bouncers and security. And it was his idea of a good time just to walk around and just start punching on people smaller than he was. At this time, I was about 5'10", about 130 pounds, very tall and skinny. And I was with some friends, and I saw this guy walking around, just beating up people. He beat up several people that night, just for no reason, just walk up and start socking people. They didn't even know it was coming. And I was talking to my friend, and I could see that this guy was starting to stare at me. And I looked over at my friend and I said, "Oh, Che, you gotta, hey, pretend you're talking to me about something, want to direct me somewhere else, because man, that big guy started to stare at me." And she's like, "Look, that guy over there, man, dude, he's looking right at you. He's coming right over here." And I was like, "Oh shit," So I looked up, and this guy was standing right in front of me, and he walked up to me, and he was just, "What are you gonna do?" And I kind of put my hands up, like, "Hey, man, I can't fight you. What am I supposed to do?" But I stood there. I didn't run away, but I stood there. I was just like, "Dude, I'm not gonna fight. I can't even think about it." And so he put his finger in his nose, and he pulled a booger out, and he had it on the tip of his finger, and he put it about 1 inch from my face, right in front of my eyes. I just kind of leaned back and kind of put my hands up, like, "Hey, come on, man." And he wiped it on my shirt, kind of right around my shoulder. Just kind of wiped it on my shirt and walked away. And I just kind of flicked it off and thought, man, better than get my face punched in like everybody else had tonight, So, but it was definitely a blow to my dignity. It wasn't exciting. It was more humorous in regards to mistaken language, mispronunciation. I don't know. It's funny. I was working at a school for severely emotionally disturbed teenagers, and very expensive. Some waiting, very expensive. Some were waiting to go to trial, etc., and some were getting out of group homes or living in group homes or whatever. Anyway, and there was a kid named Tyrone, and he was someone. All the kids were picked up in the morning and brought to school and taken home at the end of the day, and there were only 4 approved radio stations, that we could listen to the bands, as we were driving them back and forth to and from school. And one of them was advertising one of the Indian reservations having Phyllis Diller doing some sort of comedy concert. And so, all these people, these same kids at school are probably hearing these same commercials over again. Phyllis Diller, Phyllis Diller. And besides taking the kids back and forth to and from school, I also had to sit in class. When their teachers taught, I kind of had to sit there and enforce discipline and kind of work as a, an instructional aide and various, whatever. And there was a kid named Philip. And Philip, I think, had some sort of brain surgery that left him sort of not right, not able to function well enough for a regular school. And he turned around one day in class for no apparent reason, just kind of arbitrarily, and started staring at Tyrone. And Tyrone stared back at Philip and said, "Turn around, Phillips Dillis."
That's the story.
Phillips Dillis.
That is so hilarious.
He didn't have any idea what Phyllis Diller was. He'd been hearing Phyllis Diller in the van for 2 weeks. He saw Philip turn around and start staring at him because Philip was just a weirdo. And when he wanted Philip to turn around, Philip was Phillips Dillis. You think that's funny?